Dubai, happy Friday. Welcome back to Lovin Dubai show, where we go through the top trending stories that everyone across the country is talking about. Our top story for you today: notice periods and contract terminations. The government clarifies workers' rights.
As well, the UAE takes a strong stand for Palestine at the Security Council.
Mo Vlogs confirms he has no connection to this new WhatsApp group scam that's certainly going viral.
As well, the road star Caroline Stanbury admits to taking Ozempic.
Later on in the show, should I stay or should I go? Understanding infidelity with Dr. Bissi Lanian.
It's day 237 days since the genocide began on October 7 in Gaza. The current death toll stands at 36,224. The number of injured people is 81,777, and 1.9 million people have been displaced from their homes.
If you've left your home today, you'll know how high the humidity is. It's averaging at 65%, and highs of 40 degrees Celsius expected in Dubai today. Before we jump into our top stories, a group of kids from Ireland are going so viral that they appeared on Farah's TikTok page. Can I play an excerpt?
Please, that's just like show. I'm sure everyone have you know they know what it is, but like let's play for them.
Well, if you're watching right now, have you heard this track? Oh, good. We have rules on how much we can actually play on the song. We're not a radio station, so we can only do like 7 seconds. So have you heard The Spark, the Irish kids going viral for their rap tunes?
Yes.
I can't believe you've heard it. It makes me so happy.
They are so cool.
Are going so...
And the first thing that I noticed, like, it was on my For You page not once, not twice, more than 3 times. And I was thinking the whole time, like, oh my God, I need to let Casey know tomorrow. And I did the first thing. I entered the office. I was like, Casey, have you seen the Irish kids?
So they're giving energy, and they're like, it's the bucket hats. And you know what I mean? Like that they're super cool.
Everything.
And they're actually part of, like, it's called Cranún and Oak, which is the gathering of youth. So it's kind of a bit of a big movement, and it'll be played at their events throughout the summer. It's a big group of 9 to 12-year-olds. Some refugees who've come to Ireland are involved. So it's quite a big movement, and the fact that they've made your For You page just makes me so happy. And I think people it's come up on mine as well. Like, people all around are just like, what's the word? I can't use slaps, but slaps.
It's giving.
It's giving.
It's giving. Fine. It is giving. And they're just like saying, because like they're so cool.
They're slick.
It's like the song gets stuck in your head. And I was like singing it throughout my, as I was coming to work, and I was like, oh my God, and even in the morning, I was like, scrolling through TikTok, and it showed up, and I was like, that is so cute. And
I'm just so happy for them. I'm so happy.
Cute.
It took a day to film it, and it gets stuck in your head. It's super catchy. And if you haven't yet got it stuck in your head, just go on to TikTok. They're called The Spark. They're Irish rappers. They're only between 9 and 12 years old. And I'm just so happy for them that they're making For You pages around the world.
I mean, honestly, maybe we should...
It's a Friday anthem.
Maybe we should film a TikTok lip-syncing to,
I can't recreate that. I don't have a bucket hat. But look, this is them on the radio. It's so cool. So later on, check Farah's page. She's going to recreate that TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
I'll watch with popcorn. Okay, 8:35. Let's jump into our top stories. Notice periods and contract termination. Government clarifies workers' rights. So new work rules have been announced by the official account for the Ministry of Human Resources and Amortization. That's MOHRE on X. And it means an update to labour rules. So if you're thinking about leaving your job anytime soon, please take note of the following updates.
Now, under the regulation of labour relations law, both parties can terminate the work contract as long as they're complying with the terms and conditions of the notice period.
So this is how it works. The notice period shall not be less than 30 days or exceed 90 days, 30 to 90. The worker is required to fulfil their duties throughout the notice period, which means you have to continue to work.
As well, the non-compliant party compensates the other for the notice period with a notice allowance payment. The notice period allowance equals the full wage or a proportion. The UAE, of course, that usually does. So if you want to leave your job, make sure that you give them a notice period to not give a payment. And as well, for sure your company, if they would want to let go of you, which we hope they don't, they will let you know.
In good time. So all of the updates are on MOHRE on X if you'd like to take a look. Our next story comes from the UAE mission to the UN, which is also coming from X.
So the UAE takes a strong stand for Palestine at the Security Council. The UAE represented the Arab Council and called for a stop to the Israeli attack on Rafah and an immediate ceasefire. The Security Council has been very late in, of course, taking such an urgent step, was said about putting an end to Israel's atrocities.
So speaking at the UN, the UAE said perpetrators must be held accountable before the law, as the Arab group is pushing for Israel to respect international law and to stop illegal actions.
The UAE called out the double standards, saying the double standards have become as clear as the sun, and of course mainly asked the perpetrators to be punished under international law.
More information on that was shared on our Lovin Dubai Instagram yesterday, so if you want to check it out, please go and do so. As always, our show goes live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and in podcast format, so if you'd like to take a listen, please hit that subscribe button. So we're going to jump into our next story. We're talking about Ozempic.
Of course, you guys know Ozempic. It's been all over TikTok, social media, and Real Housewives of Dubai star Caroline Stanbury admits to taking Ozempic. So the Real Housewives of Dubai icon shared on her podcast how she turned the medication that we all know, the famous Ozempic, typically used for type 2 diabetes, to shed pounds following a midlife crisis at the age of 45.
So Ozempic traditionally is a medication that aids in managing blood sugar levels in type 2 diabetes and basically better manages and reduces complications related to that.
As well, of course, you guys, I know what it does is that people have been praising Caroline for being open and honest about using Ozempic, as Ozempic has been trending all over TikTok for a while now, and the hashtag has been viewed over 1 million times.
It's not really our place to jump into the pros and cons of the drug, but there's obviously side effects that come with it, which have been spoken about a lot, including nausea, loss of appetite, headaches, and more.
And of course, you guys, now Ozempic can be taken, prescribed by a doctor, and it is crucial to contact a specialist. But what we want to talk about here is the fact that how brave she is to admitting it, because a lot of celebrities have used it and did not really admit it. They have lost a lot of weight, and there have been speculation that they actually have been using Ozempic, but they did not really admit that.
That's the thing. So Ozempic dropped onto the market and went internationally famous immediately, a weight loss drug. Like, this is things that people have been looking for so long. And actually, although people are now jumping onto the weight loss bandwagon, and it's getting a bit of a stigma attached to it, there's a lot of positive prescribed by a doctor that because it will reduce weight, it's going to help with cardiovascular diseases, and there's a lot of good that it will do. So it's actually going to change the game in so many ways. But for the people using it for weight loss, a lot of people, because there's actually a rush to get it, and therefore the people with diabetes may not have access as much, so people aren't admitting it.
That's true.
So when we posted it yesterday, a lot of negative comments jumping on, having a conversation, but I agree with you. I think so often, let's take Ozempic and Caroline Stanbury out of it, so often people get procedures in high places, a lot of views on their platforms. They don't talk about it, they don't admit it, and then you're sitting there at home thinking, oh, why don't I look like that person? Why can't I achieve that? Da 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 da. So although it's not saying someone to go and do it, I think actually telling people that you've done something, even though it goes against the grain of what society is doing, it's actually a hard thing to do, I would say.
I agree, and I'll tell you why that actually happens. Because people want to be perceived as they are naturally skinny. And of course, we follow trends, at some point, the BBL was trendy after Kim Kardashian.
What's BBL?
Oh, it's like, you need to be a bit chubby from down there.
Big touch.
Big touch. You know what I mean? For example, people they would want to do squats and so on. And that was trendy for a while. And that's when everyone had fillers from the back. Oh,
I don't think we should I don't think we should even give a platform to what is perceived as a trendy body type. I don't think I don't think we should.
I agree,
because I think it's totally wrong that's even 100%. Part of the conversation on TikTok. And I feel it's unfortunate that people are seeing this on TikTok, and that's the expectation. So then therefore I think what you're going to say is
exactly, and that's why, you know what I mean, people just follow trends, and because that was trendy, people wanted to actually gain some weight. But now, because all over TikTok everyone's oh my god, Kate Moss said nothing tastes better than being skinny. She said something
back
like that.
I think that was back in the 2000s when I was reading magazines.
It's all over TikTok now. It's all over TikTok now, and it's
I didn't know.
Now everyone now wants to be skinny, and everyone wants to be you're like a model, and everyone wants to be oh yeah, I'm just I'm born like that. Some people actually do not understand that this is your body type. And this is how you are. You don't need to take you don't need to get too skinny. But of course, you know what I mean. That's why a lot of celebrities are kind of hiding it.
That's why they're not saying it. Yes. Well, let's just leave it at be comfortable in who you are. It's so important. Eat healthy, exercise a couple of times a week, and try and just avoid perceived trends on body types, because we'll never be what that person on Instagram looks like, because that person is medicated, they're doing surgeries, and they're using filters, and they're using all sorts to kind of narrow their bodies or make them bigger or smaller. So we'll never reach that achieve. So just try and feel comfortable in who you are.
I agree 100%.
Let's jump into our next story, guys. The scams currently. I think everyone is getting WhatsApps, we're getting calls. And we just want to highlight this one in particular. Mo Vlogs confirms he has no connection to this WhatsApp group scam. So this is something you may have been added to. People are getting added to WhatsApp groups that claim they're going to make you money fast. So what is the bait? You'll get paid for subscribing to YouTube channels, for example, and helping YouTubers like Mo Vlogs to grow their audience.
Now, it sounds so simple. Interact with posts and earn hundreds of dirhams daily. Of course, you've even got people responding on the group, so it nearly looks legit.
Yeah, on this group, there was a girl jumped in being and she asked a really fair question, but it was real. It's a real is this where I'll get my cash? And you're you just know that people looking at the group will think, oh, she's getting cash, I can get cash too. So we just want to highlight. This one mentioned Mo Vlogs. Mo Vlogs has confirmed to Lovin Dubai he has no connection with the group, and we can confirm that it is a scam. I have another one. I sent it yesterday to my thing. So a long message group about people going around to homes. They're going door to door, pretending they're authorities. They're everywhere. Apparently, they look stylish, and apparently they're. So I don't know if we need to send this to the police immediately. But there's just a lot of things that you need to be vigilant about at the moment. And I think these WhatsApp scams that claim that they make you money are high up there, because they're. People are thinking that they're going to get 30 dirham just for subscribing to a YouTube account.
My God, I mean...
And then you're you give away your OTP in an opportune moment, and then your cash is gone.
The thing is, I'll tell you something, guys. So I say this to Mom all the time. Mama, if making money is that easy, then no one would work. And there would not be jobs. So these are clearly a scam. It's fine. You want to believe that for real? It's not real. If I'm gonna just watch a couple of YouTube videos and subscribe to a couple of channels and make money out of it, then why would I want to work? why do people want to work actually? You know,
But even like, you know, the way people always talk about side hustle and making money, you know, outside of your mainstream of employment. So you're thinking, oh, I've got my job and then I could do this on the side. And they're so smart. They just prey on people in when you least suspect it. So for example, we all feel like we need a bit of extra cash, and you get a WhatsApp group and it seems easy and it's like a quick way to make a buck, and you're thinking, I can make this is handy. Like I can fully see why this is an attractive message to people, especially when, you know, we're in a city of opportunity. There's so many ways to make money, and you're thinking, I could get some money here. I can easily see why we would fall for this scam.
100%. And by the way, like, we just got a comment on the live that said that this happened to him last week. They added him to the group and gave him tasks to like YouTube videos. I mean, like, you guys,
did you do them?
I mean, it's kind of like, see,
Graham, let us know if you actually fulfilled the tasks.
Yeah,
we tried yesterday, by the way.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, because I wanted to see what happened. So, Cairo, he went into the WhatsApp group. He'd been added. We did the liking. So then you have to take a photo, a screenshot of the finished task, and then you need to send it on Telegram to the receptionist. And we got that far, and then I left for the day. So stay tuned for what happened if Cairo's down 20K. But I assume then they would be like, what are your bank details? So you're thinking, okay, I'm getting cash, and then out of nowhere she'd be like, what's your OTP? And then you would just send it, and then you would lose your cash. So never
100%.
give your OTP.
You guys, I mean, no, it's giving. When my cousin was younger, and he'd be like, Baba, I want an iPad. Give me your bank details. Yeah.
This is a thing. Kids have phones.
Yeah.
But I think it's like it's just common, and be as vigilant as you can. And there's no such thing as quick and easy cash. It's 8:47. It's Friday morning. Thank you, everyone who is watching the show. We're super excited to have our next conversation with Dr. Bissy Lanian. We are talking about Netflix hit documentary Ashley Madison, which is going viral, and it's on the subject of infidelity. Dr. Bissy is going to talk about the emotional impact that can have on couples and how potentially you can build trust and overcome it, or you can move on. Stay tuned. Should I stay or should I go? Understanding Infidelity with Dr. Bissy Lanyon, a new hit Netflix documentary, Ashley Madison, Lies and Scandal, delves into a dating site for adulterers. At its peak, the website reportedly boasted 40 million users worldwide before falling victim to a data breach, which resulted in shattered marriages and devastated lives. Here today to address the emotional impact of infidelity, Dr. Bissy Lanyon from Sage Clinic is back again in the studio. Thank you so much for coming back.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. So, of course, the first question that I think everyone would want to know is, why do people cheat?
That is $1 million question. I wouldn't say that there's a specific reason as to why people cheat, but if we think quite generally, there are certain factors that can contribute or maybe increase the likelihood of someone cheating. So, for example, fulfillment in the relationship. Right? So most of us are in relationships, and not just romantic relationships, even platonic relationship, because it gives us a sense of fulfillment and it meets certain needs that we might have. Yeah. So if someone is feeling maybe unfulfilled or dissatisfied in their relationship, if there's a need, the purpose of a need is that the need is met. So they might seek for that need to be met elsewhere. So that is one reason that can lead or contribute to people cheating. It's
such a difficult topic, and of course, as we kind of jump in, we do understand serious emotional impact, especially on families, and we will get to that in a little bit. But before we get there, I just wonder if you have any knowledge on, like, is there different reasons for men and women to cheat? Have you seen that?
Again, I'll go back to the needs, right? So I don't have statistics on if men cheat more and if women cheat more. And I think, again, it depends on culture, it depends on society. We're thinking about age ranges as well. But I would say in terms of individual factors, maybe there's certain personality traits that are more likely to cheat, or certain attachment styles. So if you're someone who's maybe a bit more anxious, have like an anxious attachment orientation, then that might mean that you're seeking that validation, that you're seeking that need. And also if you think about life stages as well, some people may cheat earlier on in the relationship, for some people it's later on in life. So it's difficult to make that kind of direct comparison and say blanketly that men cheat more or women cheat more, because it depends across cultures.
In the show, we've seen mixed reactions of infidelity.
Yeah.
You know, some people get conflicted about staying, leaving, of course, you know, but so is it normal to feel that conflicted about staying or leaving?
Absolutely.
And why is that?
Absolutely, because life isn't black and white, right? When you're in a relationship with someone, especially when you're in a long-term relationship with someone, you have built a life. And even if you haven't finished building the life, you're building the life. You have a vision. You have a heart goal of where that relationship is going. Sometimes you have investments, family, children, property, financial. So it's difficult to say, actually, you've cheated on me or you've stepped out on the relationship, I'm going to leave. And then we have to remember that there's love there, right? There's love. So it's hard to sometimes walk away from that. And I think that people who choose to stay shouldn't be made to feel guilty and shouldn't be shamed for staying, because they have their reasons to do so. And we know that people who may have experienced unfaithfulness in relationship, they can rebuild that trust. They can rebuild some of those bridges that may have been burnt. And then also, if people decide that actually this has been a very big breach of trust and this has been a violation of what we have agreed, and they decide that actually we're not going to reconcile, I think that decision also should be respected.
It's just not black and white at all, is it? What would you say, I guess, are the common, if possible, to discuss reactions to infidelity?
Oh, so there are many. So we can look at it from the side of the person who may have cheated and the person who experienced the unfaithfulness. So I think on both sides, there might be feelings of shame and sometimes humiliation. Yeah, if you have been the one that have been unfaithful, thinking about how was that information discovered, right? How was it exposed? And with that can come a lot of guilt. It can come a lot of shame. And then if you're the person that has experienced it, people in your community finding out. That can be quite humiliating. If the infidelity was with someone that you know, right? Then we have feelings of like lowered sense of worth and lower esteem. Those feelings of inadequacy, like why me? Am I not enough? Am I unworthy? Am I not attractive enough? Do I not bring enough to the table? Right? So you can start to question yourself. And if we think more of the mental health sort of responses, sometimes we see anxiety, sometimes we see PTSD like symptoms, which I've also experienced in clinical practice, where people have flashbacks and intrusive thoughts that take them back to the moment where they found out. And they're almost stuck in that moment, and it keeps replaying and keeps replaying. So it's very similar to a PTSD because it's traumatic and it's very distressing. Yeah. So those are some of the common reactions that we can see.
You mentioned earlier the word love.
Yeah.
Do you think? I mean, I don't know, but some men, like, or women as well, when they cheat, and they go like, yeah, but I still love you. And then society goes like, yeah, but that is not love. If this person cheated, then that's not love. Do you think love and cheating, how do they come hand in under each other?
I think we all sometimes behave in ways that are opposite to our values, yeah, and opposite to our beliefs. And it doesn't mean that we don't hold those beliefs, and it doesn't mean that that those values don't mean anything to us. Right? So there's some things that I would say that, I would never do. Like I would never run a red light. But if you're late for somewhere, you might just do that. Does it mean that I don't respect that law? Right? Or does it mean that I don't observe that value? Maybe not in that moment. Yeah, so when we think about love and thinking, is love enough to sustain a relationship? Well, if you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. But there are many things that we say that we believe in, many things that we say we wouldn't do, and sometimes we act opposite to that.
Interesting. Just to be like we always think about the victims, and because I feel like those are the stories more commonly told, but would you be able to give any insight, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, on the psyche of the cheater? So shame is one thing, but what if you're in a love marriage or in a love relationship? Can you give us an insight into the thought process of a cheater?
Some cheaters, it's premeditated, right? Some people find themselves in these kind of situations. So if we're thinking about factors that contribute, so I mentioned earlier maybe some personality traits or some attachments. Sometimes it's opportunity and environment. Yeah, and I'm not saying that this is a prerequisite for cheating, but if you're someone who maybe is frequently away from home, yeah, and maybe you're in an environment that kind of condones or kind of welcomes cheating, it means that you might be more likely, or you could be more likely, should I say, to engage in those kind of behaviors. Does that mean that the core of who you are is an unfaithful and cheating person? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. And there are many people who have cheated and they consider it a mistake and they're filled with regret. Some become so anxious that they start to not necessarily trust themselves. Can I be trusted in a relationship? Can I stay committed to a relationship? And I think that if you're asking yourself those questions, that's a positive sign, because it shows that actually you're aware of some of the things that you struggle with, and you have that self-awareness and you're able to voice it out. And that means that actually you're more likely to accept the help to kind of work through that.
There's this phrase that is like, once a cheater, always a cheater. Do you believe in that? And if do you think that people can change? If let's say they cheated, they go like, oh yeah, I'm never gonna cheat again. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll speak about that personally. As a person, I believe that people can change, right? I believe that people can change. Even our values can change over time. We're constantly evolving, yeah, and we need to allow each other room to evolve. And I think that it's not helpful to continue to label someone by their mistakes or by something that they have done. And especially if there's remorse or regret, I think that it's quite unfair. I personally believe that people can change. And I think that that's what helps me with the work that I do, right? So I see people in clinic And sometimes they feel like, oh, I can't change, or things are so hopeless in their situation. And I hold that hope for them, that actually we can get through this. Yeah, with the right support system, with the right tools, and even you becoming more aware. Absolutely, of course you can change. My mum says to me that you're not a tree, you can move. So if you're not a tree and you can move, then you can evolve and you can grow and you can learn and also unlearn things.
Interesting. So for couples maybe who are watching now who've been through it or going through something challenging, what are kind of, I guess, practical tips you can give to help a couple rebuild trust after they've been through something like infidelity?
Absolutely. I think that therapy is a very good place to start, because in the therapeutic space, it is non-judgmental, but it's also structured. So it allows you both the space to process and express your experience of the unfaithfulness or your experience of the violation of the relationship, but also even for the person who has cheated as well. It's important that they also have their space. And therapy is a neutral ground. It's not a boxing ring. It's a neutral ground where the therapist is objective and is essentially facilitating discussions and identifying, okay, I've noticed maybe difficulties in communication here. Maybe we can work on some communication skills. I've noticed that actually this is a pattern of how conflict is resolved. Maybe some skills in conflict resolution would be here. I would also say time. Yeah, we've all heard the saying that time is a healer. And I believe that to an extent, that actually giving yourself time, especially when things have just happened and the emotions are high and intense, it can actually be difficult to make a decision in that moment that is actually true to you and is actually what you need. So allow yourself time for the emotions to kind of calm down, for you to process your thoughts. I would also say practically, a good support network. It's important to talk and it's important to express, but a good support network of friends and family that you can trust. Not friends and family that are going to spread your business, and share parts of your story without your permission, but people that can just hold that space and listen to you as you share your experiences and as you talk through.
Now, in relationships, there must be some jealousy that happens. Would you say that jealousy is healthy in relationships?
I think that jealousy can be a healthy emotion. It's a valid emotion, that's for sure. Yeah, and I think that jealousy sometimes is branded as one of the bad emotions. Yeah, but I think that jealousy as emotion, first of all, lets us know that, okay, that there is someone else that I need to consider, or there are options, especially if we're thinking about it in the context of relationship, that there are options out there. So it can be something that keeps us in line and keeps us in check. Yeah.
They always say it's good to have a little bit, but not too much, right?
Not too much.
Not too much. Very quickly before you leave us, so you've mentioned that cheating could happen in terms of opportunistic if people are traveling for work, and we're in a city that's quite transient and a lot of people travel, especially as you come into summer months. And I ask that if infidelity happens and you're in a family with kids, is there any advice you can give on navigating that? Not with your friends and family around you, but just as a family together, working through it with the kids?
Yes. I think that with kids, it's really important to think about what you're sharing with them in terms of their developmental age, what they're able to understand, and emotionally what they're able to make sense of. Yeah, I think that for the parents or for those involved, you can still work things out as a family without necessarily involving the kids as almost like a first line. So think about your wider network. Think about, like I mentioned, like services such as like therapy, etc., just to help you, especially in the early stages where emotions are raw, right? Involving your children there, children who really need to be protected by us. And of course, we want to expose our children to various situations and emotions so that we can build that emotional resilience. But when things are raw, how helpful is it to include the children on that journey?
True. You know what? Just on this topic, I do realize that absolutely nothing is black and white.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate you able to give some very logical responses to our questions. Dr. Vissy, thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you.
This is the end of our Friday show. Thank you, Farah, for being here. We'll be back with you on Monday morning, same time, same place. Have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.